If you've ever worked with complex code in the real world, you know that any software solution has many dependencies. It depends on many different packages and libraries, and the individual components in your application also depend on other components. And managing this complex web of dependencies is very hard without using something like dependency injection. Dependency injection is a design pattern that is a must for any modern application development. This technique is used in software development to manage the dependencies between the objects in your code. The objective of dependency injection is to reduce coupling and improve the modularity, testability, and maintainability of the code base. When you use dependency injection, you don't have to explicitly pass in all of the components to any object that you instantiate. They will be injected automatically provided you have your dependency injection set up correctly. Let's discuss some core characteristics of dependency injection. Let's say you have a class that depends on three or four other classes. The dependencies of your class will be provided externally rather than being created or managed by the class itself. So the object itself need not instantiate and create its dependencies. When you use a dependency injection framework, the responsibility of creating and providing dependencies belongs to a separate entity. And this entity is typically referred to as a container or a dependency injector. So, individual classes in your code are not responsible for what they depend on. Instead, all of the responsibility is on this dependency injector. Let's discuss some of the benefits of using dependency injection. Dependency injection implements the principle of inversion of control, where the control of creating and managing object dependencies is inverted. So it's not the object itself creating these dependencies, but an external component, the injector. And the injector is responsible for injecting the required dependencies into the dependent objects. Dependency injection helps decouple objects from their dependencies. Objects only rely on abstractions or interfaces rather than concrete implementations. This promotes modularity and allows for easier replacement or modification of dependencies without affecting the consuming objects. With dependency injection, it becomes much easier to write unit tests for objects because dependencies can be mocked or stubbed. By injecting mock or test specific implementations of dependencies, unit tests can isolate and focus on the behavior of objects without relying on real dependencies. By externalizing dependencies, different implementations can be provided based on varying conditions or configurations. This makes it easier to switch between different implementations